Fellow shareholders, it is a great pleasure to be in front of you today to report on an extraordinary year for Liontown. A little over 2.5 years ago, we set ourselves a target to develop, commission and deliver first production by mid-2024. I'm proud to say we achieved that goal, delivering first concrete to first concentrate in just 19 months. And it's that team down here and the other 300 employees we've got, and at some point we had 1,000 people on site. So it was, incredible for a company which had 6 employees 6 years ago to have that and achieve that. I'm not sort of, taking it lightly. It's taken a lot of effort from the board down, and I'm very, very pleased with what we've achieved. But not self-admiration, I can assure you. We've now got to deliver. It's been a productive year for delivering for the Liontown. This last year we have finished construction and commissioned our dry and wet plant at Kathleen Valley. Moved over 9 million bank cubic metres since commencement from the open pit at Kathleen Valley, stockpiling 674,000 tonnes of ore to the end of September quarter. Commencing mining underground with the blasting the first of our 6 underground portals, finishing the September quarter with 5,300 metres of underground development. Achieved first production on schedule and exported the first 3 shipments of spodumene from Geraldton, achieving a premium price to the spot market at the time of sale. With our energy partner, Zenith, commissioned Australia's largest off-grid hybrid power station, which is helping Liontown produce some of the lowest carbon spodumene anywhere in the world. Expanded our partnership with foundation offtake customer LG Energy Solution with a $250 million US funding arrangement to complete the build of Kathleen Valley and fund our ramp up. Redesigned our mine plan to adapt to the challenging lithium market we are currently operating in. Looking back, it has been a year of delivery that has positioned Liontown for long-term success as we become a globally significant lithium producer. And we will continue to deliver, applying the same discipline to our ramp-up and ongoing operations as we did during the development, construction and commissioning of Kathleen Valley. We have confidence that our early ramp-up performance will continue into steady-state operations. On matters outside our control, such as the global price of lithium, we will continue to adapt to the conditions before us to protect and create long-term shareholder value. The depth and speed of the fall of the price of lithium surprised many. The continued lower pricing levels, which are expected to endure throughout the financial year 25, meant we have had to pivot as a company and redesign our mine to prioritise high-margin underground ore while reducing our operating and capital costs. Our revised 2.8 million tonne per annum mine plan is designed to ensure Liontown can fulfil its customer commitments while focusing on cash optimisation and cost of production through the cycle. We've got it under control, folks. So don't worry. Don't read all that crap in the paper. So, we're on it 24 hours a day and we're ahead of the curve, right? We don't want to go broke and we won't go broke. We also retain optionality. So it might be time to buy a few more. So we also retain optionality to revisit an expanded mine plan and embedded growth optionality in the process plant to take advantage of any future market recovery. So we set there to really get, if the price, kicks up, we'll be into it, okay? And we'll be looking to pay dividends. That's what that's what we want to do. A key advantage of the underground mining is the flexibility it provides to target higher grade ore in the low price environment to maximise our returns. It is something you cannot do easily in an open pit. We have begun to see some lithium production removed from the market and we remain confident that the demand-supply balance will begin to level out over the medium term, which will lead to a more realistic, sustainable price for spodumene. It is the world-class quality of Kathleen Valley operation that affords us the ability to pivot in the market, and it's what makes us a globally significant player in this industry. The importance of Kathleen Valley has been recognised by our Foundation strategic partner, LG Energy Solution, who, like Liontown, have committed the long-term view for lithium by investing $250 million in Liontown via convertible note and expanded offtake arrangements. The significance of this long-term partnership to Liontown cannot be understated. It was only made possible because of the high quality of Kathleen Valley. The Liontown team and LG Energy Solutions' confidence in the long-term prospects of lithium. LG Energy Solution is one of the world's leading manufacturers of lithium-ion batteries. Tony and I and some other folks, we went to their plant in Korea, and it's absolutely very, very impressive. And we've got a great partner here. We are delighted to have taken a major step forward in our strategic partnership with our foundation customer and thank them for their ongoing confidence in Liontown. As I close and hand over to Tony for his presentation, I wish to say a big thank you to Tony. I did it last time, didn't I? I better not repeat it, but I will. And our executive team, along with our 298 employees, for your continual contribution as we operate for the present and the plan for the future. Thank you to the Jawal people in working with Liontown in partnership to help successfully deliver the Kathleen Valley lithium operation. I also wish to thank the regional communities of Wiluna, Sandstone, Leinster, Yalgoo, Mount Magnet, and Geraldton. The Kathleen Valley lithium operations touches all of those communities in some way, and we thank you for your support. To my fellow directors, thank you for your efforts in our year of delivery. We look forward to continuing to deliver for Liontown and our shareholders. I also would like to pay tribute to the two long-serving directors we farewelled during the year, Craig Williams and Anthony Cipriano. He's still there, he's just bought a new suit. Sitting in the front over the second row there. Welcome, Anthony, we miss you. Craig was a founding director of our company when we first listed on the ASX in 2006 and made an enormous contribution with his commercial and operational experience through discovery, development and construction of Kathleen Valley. Anthony joined our board in 2014 and served as our lead independent non-executive director, as well as chair of the audit committee and a member of the REM committee. Anthony played an important role on corporate governance and commercial matters through Liontown's progression from explorer to developer. Both have been integral in the success of Liontown to date, and I want to thank you both for your contribution. I also wish to welcome Ian Wells to you all who joined the board at the beginning of the year. Ian is a great addition to Liontown with over 20 years of operational and finance experience in the industry, including serving as the CFO of the ASX top 10 company Fortescue. To the entire team, Liontown, led by Tony, thank you for your ongoing dedication and efforts and achievement. We have the plan and a top team in place to continue delivery for Liontown. You should be all immensely proud of what we have built together so far. And finally, but not least, to my fellow shareholders, thank you for your ongoing support and engagement in Liontown. I do speak to a lot of you from month to month, and that gives me a great pleasure. We are very lucky to have such an engaged investor base, and on behalf of the board and management team, we remain focused on delivery at Kathleen Valley and creating a long-term value for you. I'll now hand you to Tony to give his presentation, and and I will be here to answer your questions and enjoy your company when the formalities conclude. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. I do want to start with one thank you, but then I'll end with a few more. The thank you goes to the shareholders and Tim's kind words, but to the shareholders specifically. There are many days when we receive, both Tim and I, emails from committed and inspirational shareholders. And it's those emails from those people that gives me the courage to face the day, because it hasn't been easy this year, but we don't need any of the sympathies. It's just a fact. And it's those emails that I get from the shareholders spurring us on and not listening to the noise in the community that makes it all worthwhile. So today, I hopefully will give you an oversight as to how we see it, not only the year just gone, but into the future. I'll start off with the customary important information. But I want to start with this slide. Today, I'm presenting to you not as an explorer, not as a developer, but finally a producer. A journey that's taken us the best part of over 6 years. From the very first foundational work done by Dave Richards and Jamie Day when they went to the Ramelius auction and saw the ground and saw the outcropping pegmatites, to the board at the time, led by Tim, making the call to buy Kathleen Valley. So I'll give you today, I've got a fantastic video that I want to show you, the journey we've taken. And there are many things as a company grows up and becomes a producer, but at the core you have to have the foundations. And these are the foundations. We've got a clear vision. We reinforced our aspiration as a board in a recent strategy day. We know where we want to be. The second thing is we have to be true to our strategy, and a good strategy endures the cycles. The third element is our ESG pillars, and we've been consistent with this all along, and we'll give you a sense as to where we're going with our ESG commitments. And finally, it all starts with our values. What do we stand for as individuals and as a company? Now, our meeting rooms in our office are named after each one of these core values. Because every time we walk into that meeting, that's the way we need to operate. That is the commitment we need to make to each other if we're going to progress as a company. This next slide has a number of interesting insights from my perspective. It shows the number of company milestones that we've achieved over the last 12 to 18 months. And in addition, we've seen the drop-off in the lithium price, the dramatic drop-off. And just to give the shareholders a sense, we signed the deal with our foundational customer in LG in early July. 6 weeks later, the lithium price had dropped 30%. So this is a type of volatility we have to face with. But notwithstanding the fact that we were building, notwithstanding that we had a withdrawn takeover, notwithstanding that we had to find funding and had the funding pulled and then re-establish a funding requirement, notwithstanding that we had more than 11% of our stock shorted, we've outperformed the lithium price. And why is that? Because we do what we say. The market expects flawless execution. And that's what this team in the front has delivered with the support of the board. I won't go through every part of this highlight, and there's been a few. I start with safety, and we've achieved a fantastic result. We're never happy with anyone getting injured, but minimising the number of people, minimising that get hurt and minimising the number of incidents we have is our focus every single day. Mine, Adam's and the rest of the team. The project delivery, being able to construct in 1.5 years and I've got more to say about that later in this presentation, and the end-to-end, 6 years. That is world-class. And finally, the financial robust strength that we've provided in the market through, firstly, the equity raise back in September, October, and then the foundational convertible note with LG, all bolstering our finances to deliver what we believe is a world-class project. We've recruited all internally. We haven't recruited via a third party to help us. This is all homegrown, right? Led by Emma and her team, and in the support of the operations people, we've delivered in that ambition. Now the market backdrop. I've been waiting to present this one. The team knows how fascinated I get with these particular slides. But let's start with the demand. We know the long-term thematic for lithium is strong. The indicators are there. We will have various ups and down troughs, but the trajectory is positive. And if you look at the absolute number of vehicles increased, it's 228% increase in the number of EVs in the demand. And I've got another slide that reinforces this. But the stationary battery business is also going strong. We're now seeing a lot of these wind farms and solar farms built in Europe realising that stationary batteries, in order to support the grid, is required. And they're going back and backfilling with stationary battery power. But this next graph on my right is the one more insightful for me. What this shows is an ongoing deficit in spodumene. And I repeat that, a deficit in spodumene. Now you ask yourself, if that's what Woodmac is forecasting, a deficit in spodumene, why is the price where it is? And in there lies the challenge that as an industry we've got to resolve. And that is the price of spodumene is linked to the chemical prices, and the chemical prices are in oversupply, so they won't value the raw material. Where we should get to is the first product within the value chain needs to set the price for the value chain. The raw material, where the highest risk is and the greatest capital intensity, needs to set the price for the value chain. The next slide, it definitely shows China continues to build its push into EV penetration with a 38% increase. Now we know we've got both US and Europe struggling, and that's an affordability issue, which I'll talk about in a minute. But the other one that I'm interested in is the rest of the world. Now, whilst the box there is very small, there's some big players in that rest of the world. Brazil, Southeast Asia, and where they will look to for their EVs will be China. And why? Because this graph on the right tells me the story. The issue with EV demand, or one of the issues, is affordability. And we see in China, the actual cost of an EV is cheaper than a petrol engine by about 8%. However, in Europe and in the US, you can see it's between 46 to 76% more expensive. So when you've got higher interest rates, and most of these vehicles are purchased through leasing arrangements, the monthly instalments to a family are greater. Hence, the appetite to purchase is not there. Once affordability, and the car manufacturers have worked this out, because if they don't get into that affordability, what I call range, they're not going to be able to compete. Why? This is the future. We're seeing models coming out of Chinese manufacturers that are absolutely spectacular from a quality perspective, from a performance perspective, and from an affordability perspective. They are coming to Australia. Some of them are already here, and some are coming next year. You've got a 1,000-kilometre range and an 11 to 15-minute charging time. A 1,000-kilometre range. Okay? Most of these vehicles are European influenced. A lot of the Chinese players were schooled by the Europeans in car manufacturing, and now they've taken it to another level. It's all about efficiency and driving a low-cost option. Put as much tariffs on you want, but this is the future. Now, let's talk about the supply side. We're seeing, as this price is where it is today, it's well below the incentive price. There are a number of producers that are underwater and shutting down. And we're seeing a drop-off in Chinese lepidolite production. We're also seeing a drop-off of production coming out of Africa because at this price, it is uneconomic to continue to produce and ship out of Africa. But more importantly, you're seeing an increase in the demand for lithium carbonate. And lithium carbonate is the source material for LFP batteries, which a lot of the Chinese vehicles are based on. Now, in Woodmac's forecast, they're predicting the price of spodumene won't get above $9.50 for the rest of the decade. And based on that supply assessment is next year's view of supply coming on. So if we look at Australia and we look at the players they've got involved in Australia, we know Greenbushes expansion, CGP3, is delayed. Kathleen Valley, you can bank on that one. Mount Holland, well, we know that they're not going to get into production until mid-next year, all things being equal. Mount Marion, let's see. We know Bald Hill is in care and maintenance. That's not coming on. Pilgangoora, well, they've announced that they're shutting down their Altura plant, so some of that production won't go on. And again, Wodgina, I'll put that in the same boat as Mount Marion, given the circumstances with that company. So you ask yourself, if that's what's predicted in the price and none of that's coming on, where do we think we're going to go? And then the other flip side of this is greenfield production, new greenfields production. I often say to investors that Kathleen Valley is the last of the Mohicans for this decade. There is no greenfield projects even shovel ready. And when we published our DFS in December 2021, there were 10 projects that were all going to come on at the same time as us. Only 4 made it. So supply is harder to come on than people think. As I said, there is nothing in the pipeline between now and the end of the decade. I'll go through our year in review, and I don't want to go through item by item, but you can see the amount of work a team has done in order to get that first product on the ship. It's been outstanding. I'm very proud as a CEO to sit here or stand here and speak to the shareholders about these achievements. I spoke about in my introduction the ESG pillars, and we've got those here. It is critical that these elements continue to be delivered. The governance piece, the social piece, the environmental piece. And I can assure you as a CEO, there is focus and strong focus in every one of those categories. But just to name a few, the 86% renewable penetration. We promised the market 60% and we've exceeded that. The power station with our partner Zenith is an outstanding bit of infrastructure. And I said, we built the plant in 19 months. And as a side hustle, we decided to build Australia's largest off-grid power station with Zenith. Now, some elements of the operation that I want to go through. I mean, the open pit mining has been a great story. We've seen a 42% growth rate in our production in our open pit mining. We now see on this picture that whole floor of the open pit is pegmatite. We're in pegmatite for the next 3 months. In fact, we've had so much ore that we've had to pull back because we've got no more room to stockpile it on the ROM pad. That's one of the cost-cutting initiatives. So we've dropped the fleet. But it's exactly where we said it's going to be. The mine planners did the grade control drilling and exactly where we thought it would be, it's there. So if you don't understand bank cubic metres, because we'll work on that, you times it by 3 and that's broadly how much tonnes we've mined. Now, the underground. They said it couldn't be done. They said it's never been done. They said there'll be boulders as big as VWs under there. Right? They said, you know, the ground conditions are too hard. It looks like a Swiss tunnel. Thanks to our underground mining team and our partner Burncut, you know, this is the sort of performance we're seeing. Jumbo productivity, best in class, at about 320 metres per jumbo per month. And that feature there, thanks to Grace, that's all ore. I had to say that slowly. All ore. Okay? Top, sideways, bottom. Right? The jumbo operators love operating in this mine. And over time, we see this not as one of our key disadvantages, as one of our prominent advantages. The focus on clean ore, which the underground mine just naturally gives us that surgical focus, will pay dividends in our plant performance. So when we look at operating costs, it's got to be end to end, from mining to loading it on the ship. The performance of our 4th generation, we've got what I believe the most modern lithium plant in the world, and early signs, it's delivering as expected. Myself and Adam were a little bit impatient, we'd like it better, but it's performing as we expected. So you can see the performance increase in recovery, and we'll continue to see that step change. You know, one of the things we'll consider once we've reached steady state, which won't be too far away, is whether we continue to produce 6% concentrate or whether we pivot away from 6% and go for a lower concentrate grade like all our other competitors are doing. Because there's a benefit in terms of unit operating cost if we go that way. And finally, on this piece, the solar farm, it is truly a remarkable piece of engineering. Some of you shareholders have been there and seen it for yourself. Heard it, those wind turbines. They each have an elevator in them. And I was hoping that, you know, if the price of lithium does go down further, we might have to do some zip lining between for a bit of extra revenue. But I hope we won't get there. What's 25 going to be in front of us? And the Kathleen Valley will lead the way. We've started the performance since first production in a strong fashion. These metrics will demonstrate that. Tim touched on it, 3 shipments, and there's more to come before the end of the year. The recovery of our lithium recovery is trending in the right direction. And equally, we don't talk about the poor relation, but tantalum production is also well above budget. We're doing really well on the tantalum side. Tim spoke at length about the importance of having one of our core customers being there with us. It's really refreshing when the person that you're talking to understands your plight, understands the industry deeply. You're not talking to some finance individual that's driven by different metrics. So there's a real synergy between ourselves and our customers in where we see the future. Ford have been there for us, and now LG. But we're not sitting around just focusing on what could be and everything's sunshine and lollipops. We need to understand that there is a market out there that is tough. So we need to adapt, and we have. The board and the management team, we've worked deeply, we've done our business optimisation. It starts with the mine plan. Why? That's 55 to 60% of our operating cost and 100% of our capital costs. And the team have done a tremendous job. And when I stood back and looked at the options, what I said to myself is, in there lies a world-class ore body that gives us the flexibility to be able to make these changes. And why did we do this? Well, when we first published the DFS, it was all about accelerated volume, time to market, bring the tonnes on as quickly as we possibly can. And in doing so, there was a flag for cost right up front that we had to invest in. We've finished and built a 4 million tonne paste fill plant. It's done. Grez have done a tremendous job. We've got 4 million tonne optionality in the plant. That's done. But there was a lot of work we had to do in the underground to get us to 4 million tonne ready, which we've now had to pull back. And we can pull back. And it's given us that optionality that we've now taken advantage of. We've made the savings, we've got our cost base to where we need to, we've tested our cost base against a whole range of different pricing outcomes. And we've, more importantly, the most important piece on this slide is the future optionality has been retained. We haven't burnt the furniture. If the market improves, we've got the lowest cost capital expansion in the world at 4 million tonnes. We'll initiate that plus other things. It'll be a separate decision that the board will contemplate. Finally, I won't go through, but these are the key things summarising my discussion. Before I show the video, I do want to thank a few people. Firstly, I want to thank the board. 18 meetings we had in the last financial year. They've earned their keep. And as Tim says, you know, we don't talk about or get a suntan, as he often says. We're putting them to work. The next people I want to thank is my management team. I want to thank them, the people sitting in the front row here, for their commitment, their discretional effort, and most importantly, the honesty under pressure. As a CEO, that's what I want. When the pressure is up, I want frank speaking. The board wants frank speaking. And that's what I get from this leadership team. So thank you. And finally, I want to thank my family. My wife, Michelle, she helps me keep it real. She often says, leave the boardroom in the garage, which I try to do, sometimes not successfully. And then I have to clean the dog shit on the back lawn. So she definitely keeps me real, so thanks, Mitch. So, I do want to show this video. It's, again, a very proud few minutes that I hope you made it happen. So I thank Grace. Where is she? So thank you, Grace, for putting this together. So here we go.
So how are we going with operations now that we're up and running? Let me show you.
At the open pit, we've hit the main ore body, and as a result, the ROM is full of ore.
We reached our underground ore development in line with schedule and advanced our underground infrastructure in preparation for commencing our production stoping cycle.
Our process plant performance has been very strong, and our production ramp up is going to plan.
And through early preparation, forward thinking and innovations with our maintenance strategies, we are achieving a higher plant availability.
We're moving roughly 1,000 metric tonnes of concentrate into Geraldton each day, shipping it to our customers. And we're achieving all of this whilst operating on over 80% renewable energy since production commenced.
So thank you, everyone, and I'm open for questions and answers.